As it happens to be FreeBSD Day, June the 19th, I thought I'd do a review of FreeBSD 14.1. So right before we get on with the download and installation, we'll have a look at just some of the changes. Here are just some of the highlights. There's been an improvement to the sound subsystem, upgrades to OpenZFS, Clang, LLVM and OpenSSH. SIMD has been implemented, Cloud Init support has been added, UFS soft updates by default, and there have been some NFS improvements. More details on these changes can be found on the FreeBSD changes website. Right, here we are on the FreeBSD project website, and we're going to download FreeBSD 14.1. When you first come on it might look a bit confusing. You've got several versions. You've got 13.2, 13.3, 14.0 and 14.1. The 13.2 and the 14.0 are kind of like running out of time. They're going to be deprecated soon. They're going to be end of life soon. But the versions that we need, or you should be interested in, are 13.3 and 14.1. Clicking on the version number that we want won't immediately take us to download it. It'll just go to the release announcement, what's it available on, and other information. What we need to do is click on the big yellow sign that says download FreeBSD. And if we scroll down, there's 14.1 release. This is not the clearest way to download something, so maybe I would just put straight download to the latest versions, but you know, this to me is a little bit confusing. Maybe really you should just get onto the download options, but there you know. So the version that we're after is AMD 64, but there are other versions to download. It's good to see 386 there. Some virtual machine images, SD card for single board computers, and various documentation. So, like I say, the version that we're after is AMD 64. So clicking on that will take us to another hopefully complicated download section. And really, again, this could be, I don't know, simplified a little bit for new users who may get slightly lost. There's a lot of options here. But what we need is, you either need the disk one ISO, or if you're installing to a memory stick, need the memory stick image. So there's the ISO for, I don't know if you're doing it as a DVD or if you want to use that, or the memory stick version if you're installing to a USB. So we'll click on that and we'll leave it to download. It does take a while, so I'll skip straight to installing. Right then, how you burn this to your medium of choice is up to you. I'm going to use DD. You could use Billion Etcher if you're on Windows or Linux. You could use whatever's available for Windows. It's entirely up to you. I'm using DD, but you have to be careful to make sure that where you're writing to is your USB and not an internal hard drive, because once there's no safeguards, there's no checks. Once it's doing it, and you'll lose whatever you're writing to. So I'm going to go down to where the image was downloaded, and in this case it's a RAM disk, and there's the image. I'm going to use this because I can't be bothered to type it all out. I'm just going to copy that, paste it in there, and it's in DA0, which for me is the USB slot. For you it might be different. Just make sure you check it before you press enter. And away we go. How long it takes depends on the size of the image and the speed of your USB, etc. But it shouldn't be that bad. I'll fast forward to the end. Now take out the USB stick and put it into the computer you want to install on. Oh, leave it in the current one if you want to install on this one, of course. Right, so I'll put it in the test machine, and the test machine it's just a simple Dell Optiplex 780. It's nothing fancy, something that was stood the test of time for me. And there's the familiar boot screen for FreeBSD. The usual options, nothing new. You don't need it at this particular stage because we're just starting the initial install. I'll do this in real time to see how long, or not how long it takes. This is a USB 3 storage device in a USB 2 slot. Oh, that was not too bad, that's quite quick. There's been some changes to the welcome notification where you can install, and you still get shell, live system, and install. We're going to press enter. Takes us to the key maps. Go down to, well, in my case, I go down to UK, United Kingdom. And we don't need to test, we'll just go continue. You choose the one, obviously, that suits you better. And next is choose a host name. So pressing enter after typing in your host name will take you to choose optional system components. And you can select what you want or deselect what you don't. So I don't need kernel debug. I'm going to leave the rest as they are. Then just press enter for OK. Choose your partitions. Do you want to use a shell, manual, auto UFS or auto ZFS? I'm going to choose auto ZFS. And because I've only got one single disk, I'm going to choose stripe. No redundancy, choose the top one because that's the SSD. The rest of the options I will leave as default. You can encrypt this, which is a useful addition. You can even encrypt your swap if you want. But I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to press for install. Are you sure you want to? Yep. Okay. Press yes if you want to. No if you don't want to do it, of course. And there we go. Now's the time to choose admin password or root password. So keep it simple and memorable, because if you forget this, you're not going to be able to do much. Network configuration. Yeah, Ethernet. So I'll just select that. I'd like to configure IPv4, yes. DHCP, yep. And hopefully it works. There is no Wi-Fi, unfortunately, at this point, but I'll be setting that up later. And yeah, I don't need to do IPv6, no. Right, do the network configuration. There's LAN. That's all filled in for me, which is good. Choose no there. Europe, and go to London to select the right time zone. Sorry, United Kingdom. Got used to the Ghost BSD way of doing it. That looks alright. No, that looks different. Skip, I think. The time looks good, so I'll skip that. And choose the services you would like to start at boot. So I always choose moused, NTPD, NTPD sync on start, and PowerD, shall we? Yeah, go on then. And deselect dump dev. Choose system security, hardening options. Disable DD trace. I'm going to disable these. Oh, I've got that one. Clear temp, random PID. And yeah, you can choose these if you wish. I'm just going to leave it as that. And I'm going to add a user, because without a user, we're not really going to get far. So add users, RoboNuggie. This part's slightly redesigned, although not too bad. Login groups, I'm going to put wheel, operator, and video. Login class, defaults, I'm going to leave them at default. Default again. Oh, that's new. Enable ZFS encryption. The large graphic at the bottom is how it used to look. So there wasn't an option to enable ZFS before at this stage, which is pretty cool. Right, so use password bit. I'm just going to leave these at default. And password for user. Again, it's like the root one. Remember this, because if you don't, you're going to be locked out of your account. Oh, my passwords didn't match. I'll do it again then. Hopefully my sausage fingers don't mistype. There we go. Okay, yes, yes, and no. Okay. And I think that's it. I don't need to change anything down here. This is a feature to install handbook if you want at the bottom, if you need that. So I can press exit here. Installation is now finished. I don't want to make any more modifications. No. Oh, this is new. Reboot, shutdown, or live system. Okay, I'm going to shut down. It enables us to take the USB stick out at our leisure. I think before you went into the live system and then had to actually manually type in shutdown. Well, that's a good addition. Right, so we're booting up from the SSD after it's all been installed. And everything's going okay so far. Let's have a look. No error messages popped up. A lot of people don't like the scrolling text, but I like it because it lets you know if there's something going wrong. Oh, that's quick. That's all done. It might be imagination, but I'm sure that FreeBSD is booting quicker than it used to do. Right, so we'll log it in. And we are. There's FreeBSD. We're gonna make it usable for the desktop user. So there it is. Uname, just to prove that we're on 14.1. And if you do top, just to show what's being used, which is really not what you'd expect that on such a bare bones install. And let's clear the screen. And it's going to go into root using the password, hopefully, that we remember. And I'm just going to test the internet. Yeah, that's working fine. And we're going to PKG update, which will also bootstrap install it. Now this is the part that went a little bit wrong when I did it on the Raspberry Pi. So hopefully this is going to work this time. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to do it. Yep. I kind of expected it would because there is a real-time clock built into this, and I think the problem with the Raspberry Pi 4 was there isn't a real-time clock. So the system got confused and wouldn't let me install PKG. It never used to bother before 14.1, but 14.1 was problematic. But for this, there's no problem. Right, so let's see if there's any FreeBSD updates, which I shouldn't imagine there would be. Clear the screen. I know I could clear the screen using the keyboard shortcut, but I like to let you know what I'm doing rather than it just happen. So if we issue PKG install Xorg, because you want the desktop, XFCE, Firefox, Sulfide, which is an email client, KDE Live, Audacity, Inkscape. We also need GIMP. I'm not forgetting LibreOffice. Kind of, we'll leave it at that. These are kind of the bare essentials. And there's going to be a lot of downloading, so we're cracking on with that. And not fast forward, of course. This will take a while. Right, all done. So I'm just going to look for NVIDIA drivers. And the version that we need for this particular graphics card, which is an NVIDIA GeForce 710, will be, I think, 390. And there it is at the top. So PKG install. Yeah, there it is. Oops, yeah. Just going to copy that and paste it in. NVIDIA driver 390. Could have chosen 340, but I don't think anything above that. I certainly don't think it's going to be 550 would support it. Could be wrong on that, of course. So paste that in. And we press yes. On my main system, it's always the latest NVIDIA driver. But for this old test machine, I think we'll keep it at 390. Right, so we're just going to test something out. We'll do this on a permanent basis later, but for now we'll just test it out. You're going to go KLD load NVIDIA. So I'm just going to load in the NVIDIA driver. And I don't know whether we should put NVIDIA mode set on this driver, or is it only for the new ones? I sometimes forget. So I'm going to try just loading the NVIDIA driver and see if... I think it does that when you're loading the NVIDIA driver. I think it automatically loads up Linux. But we'll also add Linux 64. We're just going to create the Xinit RC. Exec, start XFCE 4. And we'll test it out. Yeah, it's not going to do it, so we'll just break into another virtual terminal, doing Control Alt and F2. Like I said, the older drivers probably don't need mode set, but 390 onwards do, so oh well. Right, so we'll just kill Xorg, and then I'm going to load in NVIDIA mode set. So we need to know this later so we can add it in for when the machine boots up. So test that, and yeah, that works perfectly. And then that gives us the basic desktop. And as soon as we're here, let's open up a terminal and go to root. We're just going to edit rc.conf and add in the NVIDIA and the Linux kernel modules so that everything's loaded for when we boot up again. So just underneath there, if you type in KLD, then underscore list, and then within these quotation marks you put everything that you want to be loaded in. So we got the Linux module. You don't need to put the Linux one, but I like to put it in just in case. Linux 64, NVIDIA, and NVIDIA mode set, because if we don't, things won't work. And Fuse FS, just for a bit of file system fun. This is what I've got by default in my main system, so I'm just copying it over. One thing we do need is dbus underscore enables equals yes, otherwise I think Firefox gets a bit fussy. Dump dev equals no, so I don't need that. I think we can leave it at that. Might tweak something later, but for now we'll leave it at that. And reboot. So we're going to test all the changes that we just made. Hopefully, if I've made no mistakes, we'll better log it back in. If something goes wrong, I made a goof. Right, so we're logged back in. Everything seems to work. Let's have a look around. Right then. So like I said, this is the basic XFCE install. There's nothing fantastic, except for the things that we added in during configuration time. And this is a look at XFCE. It's 4.18, FreeBSD 14.1, and GTK version 3.24.42. So we're going to test Firefox. I shouldn't think there'll be any problem with this. I think imagine it would work quite well. So this interminable welcome screen, really annoying. So we're going to test YouTube, of course. And go to the best channel on YouTube. And yeah, it seemed to play fine. You can't get an advert. Let's pause it on that. That seemed to be fine. I'm not going to play all that. Everything looks okay. And we're going to test out LibreOffice Writer. Because I know a lot of people do a lot of their work on Google Docs, etc., or Office 365. I prefer my word processors to be installed locally, then there's no issue of missing files or bad internet connection. So it's going to change the zoom, fill the page, and then type in hello YouTube. And make the text bigger. There we go. Yep, that's fine. No worries about that. I haven't configured printing on this. But I would imagine that'd be fairly straightforward as usual. I have a network printer, so it's fairly easy to configure. So I'm not going to test plugging in the install USB. At least I think it's the install USB. It's a USB stick. And yeah, it's automatically detected, which is good. I'll unplug it. There we go. Yeah, so that seems to be fine. And we're just going to, don't take that, I'm going to log out for a minute. And we're going to see if we can get Wi-Fi to go. This can take a while, and if it does take too long, I'll skip it. But I'm just going to plug in the Wi-Fi dongle. There we are. Seems to detect it. I'll unplug the Ethernet, and we'll see what we can see. Go into root. So remember, you need to edit rc.conf and change the network settings. There it is at the top. So I'm just going to comment out ifconfig. That's for my Ethernet, and type in wlans underscore rtwn0 equals wlan0. And then ifconfig underscore wlan 0 equals I'm going to type in the actual IP manually. I might change that to DHCP later. Depends if I can get it working. There's netmask. And I'm not sure if I need this. I seem to remember sync DHCP. I just might need that. And WPA. And then put the country code. See, I don't know if I need all these, but I seem to remember needing them before. We'll see how it goes. And I think we need to put default router, so I'll put default router equals 192.168.1.1. I think that's all we need. I'll probably need to put I think that's all we need for this part. We need to create a WPA supplicant. So, I mean, this part you put in network bracket, and then I think you put in your SSID, name of your Wi-Fi you want to connect to. I've got a test one at the moment. I'm going to call it Pacman 2. And then you put in your password. I'll blank that out, of course. Lovely. And I think that's all you need. I think in the past I've overstuffed this particular file, so I think that is all you need. Of course, you might need to add some more if you want. You need to look that up. But I'm going to test this out now. and reboot. And if we're lucky, it should work. Off camera, I did make a change to the rc.conf entry. I took away the manual IP address and just put sync DHCP. That seemed to have done the trick. It seems to have worked, so hopefully we'll have a working Wi-Fi, which is pretty good. Either I've got used to doing it or it's become easier, I'm not sure. So here's the desktop. And we're going to get installing some alternative desktops and Windows environments, etc. Right, we're going to install KDE 5. KDE 6 at this particular moment of making the video is not available, which is kind of disappointing, but KDE 5 works well. So we're going to pkg install KDE 5. This is like a meta package, so it'll bring in everything we need, he says. There we go. Yeah, it's quite a large install. And if we try to install KDE 6, of course, it won't work. So KDE 5 it is. And we'll press yes. I'll fast forward to the end. And it gives us a little bit of information. We need to alter these values. I can alter them now, but you'll probably need to put these entries in your syscontrol.conf just so that the next time you boot up. Right, and in order to boot into KDE 5, we need to change xinit.rc. Comment out XFCE 4 and put the entry, which is exec ck hyphen launch hyphen session and start Plasma X11. It's a bit convoluted, but that's what you need to do. And we'll test it. Oh, it's looking good. And there we go. A brand new install of KDE 5. And it looks very nice indeed. And the menu entries are working perfectly, so yeah. That's pretty cool. And just so we can check on something, if I can remember where it is. There we are. Look at Info Center. And there we are. KDE Plasma version 5.27.11. And yeah, very nice it is too. Although it would be nice to have 6, but I'm sure it's being worked on right now. And we're just going to... yeah, no. Yeah, we'll log out. We'll install something else. And for every KDE fan we've also got someone who would probably ask us to install Gnome, so we're going to try that now. I'm going to go back into root, and we're going to install Gnome. I'm not quite sure of the version. I think it's about three versions behind. I think this is what is that? Gnome 42, I think. I think the current version is about Gnome 45. I could be wrong on that. So we're a little bit out of date on this. A little bit out of date on KDE, but not too much. Right, yeah, so it's not as large install as KDE. Now we're all done. Again, we're just going to xinit.rc, comment out that, and put an entry for Gnome. And exec. This one's a little bit different. We specify the actual binary location. So user local bin, Gnome, session, and then that's it. That should work. Start X. And there we go. I've got to confess, I don't like Gnome, I don't use Gnome, but we include it for balance. Right, so that looks fine. I mean, it's I'm not used to this particular workflow or the size of the icons, but we'll try and get things done. So yeah, it's Gnome. I don't use this at all, and it doesn't gel with me. I mean, if you're a fan of Gnome, it's brilliant. If you're not, But I just wanted to show that it installs. It may not be the latest version, but that's what we've got. And here we are in... Whoa, that's a funky text. We're in the Gnome terminal. That is a little bit hard to read. That's weird. Why choose that as a default text? Anyways, let's have a look. Yeah, it's 61, which is not too bad. I remember previous versions of FreeBSD would default to about 54, 55. If we were lucky, 56. So that's an improvement. There's no firewall by default. Yeah, okay. Right, scores on the door. I'm going to be generous with this one. I think this ran perfectly. The Wi-Fi worked. So, yeah. I'm going to give this a solid 5 nuggies. And the reason for that is it was a fast install, plenty of download options. Yeah, maybe too many download options, but there are plenty at least for different architectures, etc., and different mediums, which is pretty much follows the FreeBSD philosophy. They don't restrict you. You're open to do anything you want with it in any way that you want, which, I mean, that's the license, that's the technology, and even the download options. Yeah, kind of consistent, really. The base install is very light, and that can't be argued with. Of course, from there you can install a server or whatever you want to do. But it's very easy to install a GUI anyway, so if you want a desktop environment or a window manager, super easy to install and quick too. There's plenty of software available. There's over 34,000 packages. Not all are usable software, some are libraries of course, but that's an awful lot, and I think that's up from 32,000 in the previous release. So yeah, there's been considerable additions. There are some notable exceptions, of course. I mean, you don't have perhaps the biggest choice compared to Linux, but there's a good old choice there. Wi-Fi works. It didn't work by default, and that would be nice if, say, if Wi-Fi was detected, configured automatically, and it just asks you then for your login details. A little bit of configuring a text file, and it worked fine. It makes a great server, undeniable, but it also makes a great desktop, undeniable. I mean, that's one of the strengths of FreeBSD, is that it can be something for everybody. Now, you could say, oh, well, jack of all trades and master of none. I don't think that applies in this case. I think this is a jack of all trades and a master of whichever you want to choose. FreeBSD is a blank slate. Do you want to make it into a server? Do you want to make it into a desktop? What do you want to do with it? And it does both very well. It gives you the power to choose. I know one of the slogans for FreeBSD is the power to serve. Yeah, it's also the power to choose. I think it gives you that choice. Are there any downsides? There's a couple of downsides, maybe more, but the main one being some of the software is slightly out of date. And it is. Gnome is 3 versions out of date. I mean, to be fair, many of the reasons for that is it's very much tied with systemd, and getting it to work on a non-systemd system like FreeBSD takes a lot of effort. I don't know what's involved. I think it's like using a systemd a shim or something, like a layer to fool the software into thinking it's running on a systemd software, but I don't know. Yeah, it can result in a delay in releases. I mean, that's fine. It's up to date on LibreOffice, Firefox, and other essential things. Slightly behind with KDE. I'm not know why KDE 6 hasn't come out yet. Maybe there's an issue getting that to run. But everything else isn't too bad. And Wi-Fi had to be hand configured. Well, I mean, if you're used to doing it, I'm not really that used to doing it, but I managed to do it. If you're used to doing it, you're going to think, oh, that's not a problem. If you've never configured your Wi-Fi by hand before, you're going to be completely think, oh, this is crazy. If you come from the Linux world where you had a nice little pop-up tool and it detected your Wi-Fi and everything ran smoothly, you're going to run in horror. It would be nice to have I know you can do it via BSD config network, but that doesn't always detect the USB Wi-Fi device. So doing it by hand like I did is probably your only choice if it detects your Wi-Fi device. Again, it depends. The one I used was slightly older N Wi-Fi, so if you've got a newer one, it might not work. Or you've got an obscure one, it might not work. So it's not perfect in that regards, but it's better than it was. So in this case, yeah, I give it 5 nuggets. Highly recommended. Go and get it, try it. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you watch more than one of my videos, please consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, then make sure that notification bell is clicked, because then it lets you know when I release a new video, so you don't miss it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.